In this video, we are going to take the concept further by Maslow's hierarchy of needs law and explain you in detail. This theory was given by Maslow in 1946, and at least to me, it fits the concept of why wealth generation may have a role in moving us to or moving towards holistic well-being. This is a motivational 5-tier model of human needs, often depicted as different hierarchical level within a pyramid. If you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid, you would understand that at the bottom you have the physiological needs, which involves basic needs such as food, water, air, clothing, housing, like which anyone requires to survive. I wouldn't call housing to be purely a physiological need because it falls into something called safety. But if you remove that component, what is required for this physical body, for our physical well-being, that comes under physiological need. And it is key for us to address this component. If we don't address the basic needs, we will be stressed out. If imagine suddenly, we don't have a clarity whether we'll get our next meal, whether we'll get food, water, whether we will be able to do something if we fell sick, if we need some medical attention. If these all things are not addressed, we get into fear mode. When we get into fear mode, we get into stress mode. If we get into stress mode, we stop thinking rationally. When we stop thinking rationally, we will get into panic. And we get into panic, then it leads to actions which are not well thought. We get into anger. Once we get into anger, our mental health gets affected. Once mental health gets affected, your spiritual well-being or holistic wellness cannot be achieved. So there is a very fine link through this pyramid. If you see that somehow we have to create means to address those needs. And obviously the next one is safety, that comes through acquiring means of earning, having a house, safety for the family, for ourselves, and that also addresses our emotional bit. But these things go hand in hand. So IQ is very, very effective and can be utilized to make sure that we address all the physiological needs and safety needs by different means of using our intelligence quotient. It does not mean just getting a degree or studying, but it is beyond. How you plan a well-structured strategy very early on in life. I would say from the time when you start developing your IQ, and that is around age of 6, I mentioned earlier, you start developing your IQ. So you should become aware. Bring all the nice practices which are there, are important for holistic well-being, like yoga, pranayams, meditations, have a routine, do prayers, all those things which give you a routine, and then start recording. If you have seen in the subconscious mind aspect, that very things which we do as our intelligence or IQ starts developing, our conscious mind start developing, these things gets recorded with practice. It requires repetitive process to record those activities in our subconscious mind, and if it becomes a habit, it develops our character in that certain form. So obviously proactively we should try that early on, but during that phase we should also start proactively plan our financial freedom. This is something which is needed, which is must to lead a holistic life, and I'll go in detail. The sooner we realize that we have to have a strong strategic plan, and we have to proactively devise how we are going to achieve financial freedom and then lead a better life, get into a better practice, which is not worrying about these basic needs of life. It will be bringing us to our way of holistic life or spiritual life or liberation very early on. We don't have to wait for old age, retirement to start thinking on those, because if you see a traditional life, and especially being in US, if you see all the education system, what it is doing is it's making you take loans to study, then you try and find a job, and then you spend your life first few years in paying off those loans. By the time those loans are halfway, to lead materialistic life, and I'll tell you, there is a difference that how much you can stretch or how much you should take care of your materialistic life, and there is a nice way of satisfaction which will come later on this topic today. But for the time being, that we take loans for car, then home, and then there is this vicious cycle which never ends, which leads to insecurity, fear, stress, and all sorts of negative connotations, which spoils our health. Then we spend money on bringing health and wellness. So if health is spoiled, obviously we can't be healthy in thinking. We'll be stressed out. If we are stressed out, we can't be thinking of doing good to others, because we are not good, because goodness is gone. Goodness is needed. When you help others, you feel good, so you can't help because you are not well. Then your spiritual well-being remains under duress for late phase of your life. So it is the key that we understand that and accept, I would say accept, that to achieve your spiritual well-being or holistic well-being, we have to have a plan and a strategy to address our physiological needs and define clearly what we are expecting out of our profession. I would say the best way is generate indirect way of income. You make sure that very early on, whether it is investing in yourself, in skills, by doing some education. Don't try and take loans and burden yourself early on. Make sure that you add skills which you can start monetizing early on. Your life, even if it's dependent on job for say initial 5, 6, 10 years, but during that time, utilizing that opportunity of cash flow you are getting, you should make sure that you generate enough income means. Even if you are not there, those income, those money needed for your basic physiological need keeps coming. If you fell sick, you don't go to work, to your business, to your any money making activity, still money keeps coming. And there are many ways. We will discuss these in a separate video. It's a very detailed topic, very dear to me. That can start investing your skills in a smaller way very early on in life, and by the time you reach to your early 30s, you will have ways and means to have that passive income which will work for you while you are sleeping. So that topic we will discuss later, but for the time being, we should accept that we should use intelligence quotient to bring financial intelligence, train ourselves to make sure that we are financially savvy. When I say financial savvy, I mean that we should make sure that we understand our P&L, profit and loss statement for us very early on, that we cannot have 10 rupees or $10 and we spend $20. Somehow we have to make sure, try to fix our needs in pursuit of happiness. Try to make sure that we are not stressed out in either way. We don't have to have greed, but at the same time we have basic means to address our needs. If you like the content, please hit the subscribe button, provide your comments, because your comments are very, very important for us. And if you have any other topic in mind, feel free to put in the comments and we'll try to create videos on that topic. This topic of holistic well-being is very complex, and we have seen through our 4 Qs that we have to break it down in smaller pieces so that you understand it better and start practicing in your life. Thank you very much. Namaste. See you in the next video. Bye.